Hello there, I'm Scotty, you're not. This movie better, much better. Yes, we are on. I gotta take it out. You know I was gonna do that. Jason Bourne, the fifth and potentially final film in this franchise. Uh, yeah, this was much better. This brings back Matt Damon and Paul Greengrass to the franchise, and you can tell that there was at least some thought put into this, more than there was the Bourne Legacy. The Bourne Legacy to me seemed like a cash grab. It's like Universal said, they went to the guy who directed it and is like, we need another Bourne film. Greengrass and Damon have said, no, we need another film. You have to give it to us. And so they came up with this story with another secret agency assassin group, which in every review I've watched, they say it's the same thing. But Matt Damon's character, or Jason Bourne, Jason Bourne was never on any chems. To me, that feels very disconnected, that movie. And it just, the way it ended on a cliffhanger because, of course, they wanted to do a sequel to that one. And even Matt Damon has said he'd be open to doing a movie with Jeremy Renner where the two characters meet. It could work. You gotta get Paul Greengrass to direct it, but I think it would work. But yeah, so they basically gloss over that movie. They don't even talk about the Bourne Legacy in this. They don't acknowledge it, nothing. But I still could consider it canon because there's so many of these secret agencies out there that we don't know about, and that could be one of them. Operation Outcome could be one of them. And this movie is better than the last one, but I feel like it's probably the worst of the Matt Damon ones for me. It's good. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed it. However, there are some issues. And it starts off, the issues for me anyway, start off pretty quick. We have Matt Damon is retired, basically. He's living in Greece. He's doing some street fighting stuff. He's on his own. Nikki, however, has infiltrated a CIA operations place, whatever it is, and found information connecting Bourne's father to Treadstone. So that information, she goes to Greece to give it to Bourne, which kind of starts bringing him out of retirement, or not completely until something happens. We get this awesome action sequence where there's like a bike chase during a riot in Greece where everything is just going nuts. There's police everywhere, people looting. At one point, there's this guy going to throw a Molotov cocktail, and Bourne snags it, throws it down behind him so he can get away. It's a fantastic scene, and we're also introduced to an ongoing threat throughout this film called The Asset. It's always known as, by Vincent Cassel. That's how I pronounce him. And this is the first of the copycat characters. We also meet CIA Director Dewey, another copycat character. And Alicia Vikander's character, Lee, also a copycat character in a way. These three are Carl Urban. The Asset is Carl Urban, copycat, a copycat of Carl Urban in a very, very derivative way. Very obvious way he is a copycat of Carl Urban's character from the second film. Dewey is a copycat of Abbott from the first two films. And in a certain way, Alicia Vikander's character, Lee, is a copy of Landy, but with a different moral compass. To me, that's what they seem like. And I'm watching this, and I'm seeing Tommy Lee Jones, and I'm like, this guy's Abbott. That's all he is. He's a new Abbott. And after having David Strahan, who it could be a different version of Abbott, he was more, I don't want to say visceral, but he was more angry. He had more character to him than this guy's just in charge like Abbott was. He had more to him. And even Landy had more to her, where she had that moral issue, where here you think that it's the same thing with Lee, but at the end it flips on its head and reveals, oh no, she's still a bad person, She was just trying to get him to come back into Treadstone because apparently in his file it said that he's liable to come back. I don't know. But the asset, though, leads to probably, I don't know if my biggest problem, but it's one of the biggest problems in this film for me, and that's the death of Nikki. Now, I said in my review of the second film, Bourne Supremacy, that when I first watched that movie, I had a problem with them killing off Marie. And this time watching it, I didn't really have a problem. I saw what they were doing with it, and it worked in that film. And it worked in that film because Marie was a one-time appearance in the first film. Her death sparks Bourne to come out of his sort of retirement at that point and get revenge, and leads to the events of Supremacy and Ultimatum. Nikki's death only serves to get him to come out of retirement. Because even when he found the information that his dad's involved, he was like, no, he's not, the whole sort of thing. Her death, he was sort of here and there about it. Her death would completely propels him to go and get his revenge now and finds out the truth about his dad. And what did we learn? We learned that his dad was a recruitment agent, I think, he was more involved with Treadstone than just an analyst. He was more involved with Treadstone than Jason Bourne knew, and went against Treadstone when they found out they were recruiting Jason. And so they framed his assassination from the asset. The asset killed his father, to be a terrorist attack so that it would propel Jason Bourne to join Treadstone and try to get revenge. That sort of thing. And apparently Dewey's been involved the entire time, even though we're just meeting him now. I don't know what happened to Albert Finney either. Maybe they're all arrested, those three. I don't know. Maybe that's what it was at the end of the last one. I don't know. If that's the case, then it's canon. But, yeah. And after this brilliant opening with this action set piece and the death of Nikki, that really is kind of compelling in a way that he's like, you see this scene and she's lying there, right? And he's like, I'm gonna come get you. And she's like, no, don't. She knows that, that there's someone watching. She has to know. She's like, no, don't. And then she has to go throw something at him, and she gets shot and she's killed. And then it ends up being a key to a locker, which helps him figure out what happened to his dad. But from that great opening, we then slide downhill to the real plot of this film. And that is that Dewey and the government have made a deal with Riz Ahmed's character, who is a social media mogul a la Elon Musk type dude, who is promoting this new thing called the Dream or something like that. And where everyone's security is going to be safe, but it is actually a way for the government to keep eyes on everyone, which is illegal, but it's the government, right? And yeah. And the whole conflict here is that he's having second thoughts about this. And eventually, when Bourne gets involved in this, Lee pretends to have second thoughts about stuff. And this leads to Riz Ahmed getting shot, but not killed, because the asset's about to kill him. And Bourne comes in and he forces a light to go in the asset's face. And there's a lot of action scenes between there when we get to there. And I think the action scenes are done a little bit better than before, because I think maybe Greengrass is gonna work. It's still kind of shaky, but not as shaky as the ones before, so it works, I guess. But but yeah, this whole thing, this last act of this film, I think, is putting the film the wrong way, because we go from Bourne confronting Dewey in his office and Lee killing Dewey and Bourne covering it up so it looked like he did it, And then that should have been the end of the film before we get to the hook and the thing. But instead, we go from there to he chases down the asset, and we have this long chase followed by a long fight in the sewer. We have a long car chase, takes forever, followed by a long shot in the sewer, long chase into the sewer, and a fight scene in the sewer, stuff like that. And then he takes down the asset, and then we cut to the thing where um you have Lee in the car with the director, and I guess she becomes the new director, and she says she's gonna bring him in, and then we get our hook where she goes to talk to Bourne and is like pretends to still be his ally. He doesn't know if he can trust her, and he walks off. She goes back to her car to reveal that he was recording the whole thing, and then you get to dinner, which is a better needle drop than the last one. Probably not the last two before it, but it's a better needle drop too. Like, oh, he was recording. I love that song, but I've listened to it nonstop on YouTube. And yeah, now you watch a Bourne movie, you cannot turn off the movie until that song is over. It's just fantastic. But yeah, to me, I feel like it's edited wrong. Like, you should have done, he should have chased the asset out of the building first. Follow him to the sewer, have the chase scene, have the fight, and then we have Dewey go to his office to clear out his things, and that's where Bourne is there waiting for him. They have the confrontation. Lee shows up, gunshot, and Bourne tells her to get out of there. Maybe, I don't know if he does it in this one, but get out of there. He covers it up, or she freaks out, and it turns out that he's covered it up to make it like he did it, so she doesn't get in trouble. And then we cut to the meeting. I understand you might need to have a scene in between there, but not really. I don't know. You could just have her leave. You can tell her to leave. She leaves, and he grabs the gun, putting his finger on it. Wipes her fingerprints off, put his fingerprints on it, sort of thing. I don't know. And then it says 2 days later or something. You get a credit thing 2 days later on the screen. I just feel like the confrontation with Dewey should have been the climax. Where that should have been the end. Because to me, it feels like it should go there and then ending scene. Because it goes, Dewey to me should be the ultimate confrontation. But it goes Dewey, long chase scene, long fight scene with the asset, killing the asset, and then we go to ending hook scene. I don't know. I feel like this should have been swapped around, and maybe you would have had to have changed the script up a little bit with that, just to kind of have the transition from the confrontation scene to the hook scene, the way that was done. But I don't know. But yeah, Matt Damon is still good. Julia Stiles, for what her part was also still good. My biggest problem with killing off Nikki, besides it only being a way to get Bourne out of retirement again, is that they hinted at something in the Bourne Ultimatum with them. And I thought, okay, maybe they expand on that, right? But no. Because just nothing. There's just nothing expanded. No connection, nothing. You see in his eyes when she's killed that it gets him. So maybe he's learned. He says at the beginning of this, he has all his memories back, even though they still do the memory flashes at the beginning of this. It's kind of weird. But it's a staple of the Bourne films by now, so I guess it's just a thing. But he's at the beginning of the movie, you hear him say, I remember everything. So he remembers everything now, except for his dad's involvement, apparently. Maybe he didn't really know that before anyway, but yeah. Which I think was a thing in the book, Bourne Supremacy book, where he knew who he was. He was going by David Webb. He's not going by David Webb here, I don't think, but I think it's sort of like that. I don't know. I read a little bit of it, little blurb of it, beginning of it, but on Wikipedia. But yeah, I guess I wanted more. to find out more of what that connection was. I know some people say it's better to have like it's like an unsung thing between the two. Like that one scene in Ultimatum was good enough, and if they had outright stated that they were a thing before his memory got erased, and also if this is the last Bourne movie, I still want to know why is he the only one whose memory got erased? How did it happen? 5 films, four technically, 4 films, and you still haven't told me why he lost his memory, how he lost his memory. All we know is he was on a mission, he got shot, he fell in the river or ocean, whatever it was. He woke up with amnesia. There's no explanation ever given to what happened. I think we need one more film where you actually explain how he got amnesia. Even if it's just a quick, oh, the government. He was the first agent to get compromised like that, and like it's a thing they set up for all the agents, but Bourne was the first one to get compromised like that. So they hit the protocol where he got, I don't know, something. Even if they're just pulling an excuse out of their ass, I just want an explanation. You know what I mean? But this was good. I'm gonna give it the middle of the road for obvious reasons. You already know why. But I feel this was good. It's better than Legacy to me. But yeah, it's a return to form, I guess you can say as well. So yeah. So what are your thoughts on the Bourne? Jason Bourne, excuse me, on Jason Bourne. It's also weird that they just call it that. What are your thoughts on Jason Bourne? Let me comment, so much like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.